A man was walking with a bored face. Today had been annoying enough for him. The task this time was really pointless. It seems the target has now been found. But alas, he is dead now. Now the eyes of the monsters turned to him. He sighed a little. Even the name of the monster is so insincere. What a useless monster to be alive. The monsters came to attack him, but without flinching, he used his skills and killed the monsters with a single strike. Maybe all of you must think that our protagonist is an OP character from the start, but in reality it is not. This man's name is Kang Tison. When the world was still at peace, the sky suddenly split and monsters powered out on Earth. Chaos is inevitable. In an instant, humanity is on the verge of extinction. Then, a choice is presented to humans. The system appears and states that humans who want to fight monsters are allowed to enter the labyrinth, to be a player by selecting the labyrinth difficulty level. Their mission is to clear the labyrinth and return to Earth to be a hero. But the Earth is overflowing with too many monsters, and bound to destruction, and Tison is just an easy player level. Someday, a man comes out of the labyrinth after years of difficulty, and the belief is to save the Earth. But what he saw was the Earth that was almost destroyed. He screamed and regretted choosing to conquer the labyrinth and return to Earth. Well, it's not something strange. Most of the players who come back to Earth usually throw a tantrum like this. Almost dying Earth is not something easy to accept. Tison sighed. There's only one way to end this. He submitted a duel request to that person while saying he would beat him up. That man, Lee Changchun, said that Tison must be crazy. He remembers a guy called Tison, who always talked a lot in the community on the easy player topic. He laughed. It's funny to hear an easy player who dares to request a duel with a hard player. The truth that people know is the power of players varies greatly depending on the difficulty level. But Tison was not provoked. He told Changchun to be quiet and immediately attacked him. Annoyed, Changchun activated his skill and prepared to attack Tison, then pointed his sword and attacked him. Yet, the system declared the first attack from Changchun was nullified, giving 0 damage to Tison. Tison touched the tip of the Changchun sword as if looking disappointed. On the other hand, Changchun looked very surprised. He had never heard of any skill that nullifies a first attack like this. Tison immediately activated his skill, Absolute Judgment, and hit Changchun. Knowing that he only received 49 damage, he calmed down, recognizing that the absolute stat and level difference between easy and hard players can be narrowed. But Tison suddenly activated many other skills and hit Changchun, dealing 4,604 damage to him. Tison stated this is the reality now. The Earth is almost dead and humanity has almost disappeared, so he needs to accept it. Changchun could only cry. This world was not the same Earth he remembered before. This was hell. After all the mess caused by Changchun, everyone's gazes turned to a woman who comes with lots of rare items. Her name is Lee Taeyeon. Tison then walked into a room full of rare decorations. Despite humanity's impending extinction, the girl fussed over decorations and collected lots of rare items. Outside, where all kind of monsters roam, a person who can bring such a large painting without a single scratch, and the only human who had cleared the solo mode. She is the strongest person left on Earth. Taeyeon just explained that he needed obsessions and hobbies in order to feel alive at times like this. She explained that he called Tison there because she knew that he had educated the rookie from hard mode earlier. An easy player teaches a hard player. It's always strange every time she hears it. However, knows only Tison who can do it. Taeyeon suddenly displayed her status window. She is now at level 258, with the strongest stat Tison ever seen in his life. She asked him to show his status too. Nothing concerned him. Tison immediately showed his status tab and declared that he was really just an easy player with only level 57. As Taeyeon expected, Tison was disgustingly weak. The labyrinth is divided into 4 different difficulties. The moment a player clears a labyrinth, all growth stops, making it impossible to become stronger. The gap in power, depending on the difficulty, was drastic. A hard player's stat were higher than Tison, however, none of them could withstand even a single strike from him. The reason for that is the skill Tison possesses. Taeyeon activated her skill, aiming to attack Tison to confirm his strength. Skills can be obtained regardless of difficulty, and each skill possessed by him is something that empowers the strongest player on Earth. As expected, Taeyeon's skill and power look like child's play in front of Tison. His skill nullifies all the damage, leaving 0 to his body. Taeyeon just smiled. Absolute attack nullification, absolute judgment, multi-layer attack, many time stop, such a bunch of absurd skills. Do you have about 200 skills? She asked. Teason calmly replied that it's roughly 230 skills. Taeyeon sighed. No matter how hard she tried, there was no way she could grasp the labyrinth just like him. They should have strived to be the strongest, not just focusing on clearing the labyrinth. She sat back, praising the amazing Teason, pondering if only he had played the solo mode, humanity might have had a chance to win. Teason's skills are strong, but most are used based on stats. People tend to blame him because he chose the easy mode. If he had been a hard player, no, even a normal player, the world might be a better place by now. Because now, the current easy player Teason can't even use half of his skills to the fullest. Teason complained, urging her to stop talking about that. He asked about her progress towards the scouting mission, yet she just smiled, dropping the news that the next wave was about to start. "Ah, it's over," is what Teason responded. Each time a wave started, many people died, and the territory shrinks significantly. In the first wave, they lost Seoul, the capital city of Korea. In the second wave, half of the hard players lost their lives, and in the third wave, they could only defend a small city. If the fourth wave came, then the answer is the end of humanity. Taeyeon explained that 2 S-class monsters with dozens of A classes and hundreds of B classes were coming their way, but the apostles are the most dangerous. In the situation when Taeyeon can barely handle 2 S-classes, they don't have nearly enough hard players to handle an A-class. And an apostle surpassing S-class? Is defeat inevitable? Taeyeon asked him to handle the 2 S-class monsters because there was no one beside him that was able to handle the S-class monsters. Teason grasped the situation, came out of the Taeyeon room, and said that he would tell the other players the news about this fourth wave. After the door was closed, Taeyeon closed his eyes and was sure that Teason was the only one who could lead them to victory. While holding a crystal, she mumbled that she was just a coward. Not long after, all the players gathered at the gate. Teason's friend said that he had lived quite a long time, and he could not complain about dying today. Their eyes turned to Changchun. Come to think of it, he is quite pitiful. After struggling to clear the labyrinth all this time, he might have to die after a day of seeing the outside world. From afar, a tornado appeared, opening the interdimensional gate and sending out rampaging monsters. Teason's friend smiled for the last time. "See you in the afterlife," he said. Teason activated his skill, jumped up into the clouds, and headed straight for his opponent, the 2 S-rank monsters. The system acknowledged that he made eye contact with terrible things. While scanning Teason, Teason stands with his indomitable spirit. His mind will never break, and his body is imbued with unyielding resilience. "Die, you damn things," he says. The monster that would be his opponent was a tier 7 monster, a defensive type with 148 million stamina. The monster jumped up and wanted to crush Teason, but he quickly dodged and complained that this was a nonsense to kill a monster with 140 million stamina. The other monster is a level 5, a range offense one with 1.2 million stamina. The monster immediately attacked Teason, but he easily struck back the monster. When he was hit by the monster's attack, the system declared the skill nullified the first attack, but if he got hit anymore, he was sure to be dead. There is no other way than to predict the monster's attack pattern. Teason's hyper-acceleration skill has been activated, making his speed as fast as light. A fierce battle ensued, but the monster suddenly took cover behind a defensive type monster earlier. Knowing this would be tiresome, he activated the force duel and created a dome for him to fight the monsters 1 versus 1. Well, if Taeyeon was here instead of him, it would have been easier because of her natural stat and legendary equipment from clearing the solo mode. But Teason is none other than an easy player. With his low stats, no matter what S-rank monster he fights, he will lose. Thus, there is no need to regret it right now. He will just need to fight with everything he has. Teason activated his many skills, determined to never give up and just try his best. He continued to attack the monster blindly, using his skills to multiply 9,700 damage to 92 million damage. In the end, the defensive monster is dead in his hand. But that's not the end. The offense monster gives a surprise attack that does 22,000 damage, but his skill can nullify the deadly attack. Now, he just needs to repeat avoiding and punching like before, except his mana is almost run out now. The long fight continued, and he couldn't remember anything besides the thirst to be victorious. In the end, his sword pierced the monster's heart and killed it. Even the gods of all dimensions are amazed at his achievements. With a limp, he walked towards the place he considered home, and yet everything he saw was a corpse and died. Blood is paving his way. What a bullshit. Hard players can even accomplish their mission. Don't they should think of him as the best player by now? Huh, his friend is already dead too. And that woman too. Teason saw Taeyeon's corpse and could only be silent. The one and only. A hero that cleared the most difficult solo mode. Revered as the strongest woman on Earth. Something is moving there, creating a disgusting demonic creature. The Apostle. The system announced that he would die soon, but Teason did not care. He intends to fight his last fight. But well, he got stabbed in an instant. Even the almighty Taeyeon couldn't stand a chance to kill it. As his HP reached 0, his skills activated and forcibly kept him alive for 1 minute. This is how death feels like, he says. In times like this, everything becomes regrettable. If he had not chosen easy mode back then, if only he had picked hell mode. Now, even a normal mode. He cried. He cursed all players who couldn't build their own strength because they were too busy clearing the labyrinth. How the hell were they so weak even after choosing normal or hard mode? If only they did half of the work he did. Maybe they could have a victory. Oh, whatever. It's already the past. No use in blaming others. This is where humanity ends. When he closed his eyes, a bright glow from the Taeyeon's hand forced him to open his eyes again. Teason then realized that she was trying to protect something, but the Apostle won't let him look at it. So Teason activated his skill, stopped the time, and crawled towards Taeyeon's hand. And what he found was something bizarre. A crystal called Euroboros Best Dar. An item that once can turn back the time of one person. He could not believe it. And guess why Taeyeon kept this powerful item and did not use it? Maybe this is the answer to his regrets. He activated that item and smiled. See you next time, ugly Apostle, he said. As time goes by, the memories come back one by one, where he was always humiliated until his own parents said that they regretted having birth to him. He used to be beaten to relieve his parents' stress, so he thought he had no worth. This weakness is probably the reason why he chose the easy mode. But that isn't the case anymore. He knows his own worth and talent now, so this time, he won't regret anything. With that ultimatum deep in his heart, a bright light shone in front of him, indicating a new beginning in his life. When Teason opened his eyes, he woke up in his old room, a place full of trash and dark. He checked his phone and found that he had actually returned on December the 31st of 2019. In the new year, Earth's fall would begin. He thought back to what had just happened, and who knew Taeyeon had an item that could turn back time? But why didn't she use it until the end? The lead Taeyeon he knew would have run away already. He came out of his room, and now it was 11:58 p.m. Everyone in the world must be counting down the time right now, welcoming the new year, thinking things will work out for the better. Unfortunately, things are still the same as he remembers. At 12 p.m., the sky cracked, and dimensions were torn apart. And soon, thousands of monsters will be running amok. It's just a B rank, which can easily die by a hard mode player, but people can't do anything yet from now on. This was the moment he waited. A system greeted all the humans, declaring that Earth is going to be destroyed by monsters, and weapons from Earth cannot damage them at all. But don't worry, a merciful being has taken pity on humanity and decided to give everyone the choice to select a difficulty and enter the labyrinth. People were crying, but Teason walked calmly in the midst of the chaos. He laughed at the god. It's not a mercy, but they're just crazy for entertainment. He took one last look at his past self and decided to leave right now. In easy mode, there were food supplies and resting places everywhere. Even the ordinary and frail people with enough effort can clear this mode someday. In normal mode, survival is challenging, but with determination, clearing this mode is possible. In hard mode, this mode will test people's limits. Food is extremely scarce, and resting spots are scant. If people don't ensure maximum safety, they will die in a horrible way. In solo mode, this is the mode where people are alone on their way. They won't meet anyone from Earth. The only things they will encounter are monsters, adversaries, and NPCs. In this place, everything would be a challenge, and survival is impossible. Tison entered solo mode with great confidence. He arrived at a village that looked like it was from the royal era. After a long time, he returned to this place again. Someone already posted something in the community. The community is the only window for conversations with people from different difficulties. It was a great help when others shared their strategies. At this moment, there are more important things to do. He remembered his chat with Taeyeon about the NPC who seemed to be alive like a real human in solo mode, different from the NPCs in other modes who looked like robots. When he arrived at the gate, he saw the NPC gatekeeper who looked different from the gatekeeper in easy mode, who was just an ordinary white-haired man. When he saw the NPC, Tison was suddenly speechless. This man is so much stronger than Taeyeon. How can a gatekeeper be this strong in solo mode? The gatekeeper greeted Tison while lazing around and introduced himself as Broken Man, the guardian and guide of that place. When Tison asked his name, he only explained briefly that his name, Broken Man, was obtained when he failed to challenge the labyrinth and became gatekeeper. He again clarified that the world of Tison is being destroyed by invaders. The labyrinth is a place full of opportunities bestowed by the merciful Transcendent. But he grumbled, mocking this merciful being and wishing them all to perish. Taeyeon was right. The NPC in solo mode is truly alive. On the other hand, the gatekeeper was also surprised by Tison. How could he be calm the first time he came to the labyrinth? The gatekeeper continued to explain that the gate beside him was a labyrinth which had a total of 100 floors, with major changes every 10 floors. Naturally, it gets more difficult the deeper it goes. He must find his own food in the maze and climb the maze on his own. He then gave Tison basic equipment. Because he felt Tison amusing, the guard gave him additional equipment in the form of a wrist guard that could protect him against animal bites. This thing has never been given to Taeyeon before. He wonders why the gatekeeper gave him another piece of equipment. Without wanting to linger, Tison entered the labyrinth and gatekeeper wished him good luck. From the gatekeeper's perspective, Tison is so strange to the point that he smiles when he enters the maze. As the gatekeeper, he met so-called genius challengers, but none of them had ever conquered this labyrinth. But Tison, he just said that he had something different. Not just simple talent or ability, instead, something more fundamental, the power to survive. Inside a dungeon, the system explained that the labyrinth was created by a great wizard. This place is a prison, where horrific entities move without a breath, and living things die. Everything inside the labyrinth exists to suppress the challenger. Tison entered the first floor, and the system explained that he needed to defeat the boss of the first floor and proceed. He remembers Taeyeon told him about the merchant on the first floor in the solo mode. The merchant sells a lot of things like bracelets of dark shadows, a top-tier item that reduces incoming damage by 50%. There was so much more, but she couldn't afford them due to a lack of gold. He did not care about these things back then, but the situation had changed now. He opened the door and met the merchant there. After a short introduction, Tison felt confused, seeing that there was nothing there. The merchant smiled sinisterly, explaining that it would take more space than this first floor of the maze to display all of his items, and he has no intention of showing his wares to him. Well, this is so strange to Tison. Shopkeeper who doesn't sell? The merchant abruptly became angry because he had to leave his kingdom due to those damn monsters, and now had to be a merchant in this wretched labyrinth. Anyway, he doesn't want to display his item to ignore muses like Tison. However, if Tison shows him his strength, he might change his mind. Tison needs to come back alive from the first floor, so the merchant would give him an item to sell. Without hesitation, Tison agreed to the merchant's items and immediately entered the maze, leaving the merchant confused. Usually, people would be terrified and shaking, but why is that guy so calm? He seems like he cannot feel fear at all. Well, Tison won't come back anyway, so it doesn't matter to him anymore. Inside the maze, Tison realizes that the structure of the first floor is the same as in easy mode. He looks safe with no visible danger, but it won't be the case here. As he thought, the monster here was beyond his imagination. A big rat has appeared. A big rat is a monster that was the 5th boss in easy mode, but it is just a normal monster here? As he remembers the big rat characteristics, it was a monster with low defense, but moved at a speed that was hard to track, so it took a while to defeat it. Such a monster is a normal creature on this floor. It really makes him feel the difference. People usually hunt this creature with a big group in easy mode to make it tired. Now he's all alone, and his stats are lower than back then, making it practically impossible to win. It's no wonder Taeyeon ran away. In the first place, among all the players who managed to clear the first floor, none of them picked a fight with a big rat. Ah, he gets it now. The reward principle of the labyrinth is simple. Accomplish something that others cannot. Achieve a feat that anyone can recognize, so people will receive a reward commensurate with it. And his goal here is to become stronger than anyone else in this place. With his new belief, he charged into the big rat with confidence. He calculated the monster's contracting leg muscles and the rising chest, accurately predicting its movement. In the end, after the monster loses its composure, Taeyeon can easily kill the monster after stabbing it a couple times. When the merchant saw Taeyeon coming back, he got a big surprise. In the solo mode community, people complain about the merchant who is too arrogant. Even Taeyeon at this timeline lost her words for him. But the merchant in front of Taeyeon is the one who's having a hard time now. He could not believe his eyes when he saw Taeyeon coming back with the loot. He showed the big rat's meat and leather, astounding the merchant. The merchant couldn't believe people could fight the big rat instead of running away, let alone kill it. Also, the leather brought by Taeyeon is of the best quality. It's also not messy and dirty, meaning he cut it perfectly. This is a crazy deal for a youngling that's new to the labyrinth. Because of the agreement earlier, the merchant said he would sell anything for him, so Taeyeon needed to tell him what he wanted. Taeyeon immediately replied that he needed a tower shield, a big one that he could carry with both hands. He needs it to defend and attack the monsters all at once. The merchant smiled, opened his golden door, and took out a tower shield like Taeyeon asked. It's a heavy tower shield with a perfect balance for a beginner. Especially with this quality, it would only be acquired from the 7th level of the easy mode. Because the price was 500 gold, despite his only 243 gold, he thought to leave now and come back later, but the merchant granted him the shield for free, only to make Taeyeon confused about what was happening right now. The merchant then took out various potions and items, telling him to use the money to buy other items instead. He said he would invest in Taeyeon, and then dodged about the investment matter and urged him to buy. After looking at all of the items, he believes that it is necessary to have one item useful for direct attack, and it will only take a bow to spare him all the hassle. When Taeyeon chose to buy the bow and arrow, the merchant suddenly smiled, making Taeyeon confused by his attitude. After buying the bow, the merchant tells him about the fountain of life that can help him recover his stamina, and he can use as much as he wants on the first floor. He remembers that Taeyeon also got the information about the fountain, but the merchant's attitude is completely different. There has to be something fishy there. Is it just a matter of his action before? Taeyeon ran away and left without being able to catch the big rat. But he did not run away, even caught the big rat and came back. Is this perhaps the reason why the store owner's attitude is different? After that, he came to the hunting grounds and killed so many big rats. There are many things that he's uneasy about, like why he got so many skills after killing a trash mob like this. Not just basic skills, he got ass skilled that he might only get on the 20th and 40th floor in the easy mode. This is unbelievable. That time, he saw the spiritual skill that he used to have after killing 2 S-rank monsters before turning back the time. However, it's not like what he remembers. Previously, the system declared that he failed to acquire the skill due to the fact that he was not in the labyrinth. But he did not care at all because he was too tired after killing the S-classes. Just a seal skill being released now that he has returned to the labyrinth? A skill that stays the same even when time passes. Is that even possible? Because he doesn't know what the skill is, he chooses to ignore it and keep moving forward. The plan was for him to go to the Fountain of Life, yet the system said that the big hat appeared. But now, the situation is different. He got an ambush from a couple of big rats, cornering him in the middle. Well, Taeyeon witnessed countless players who met their demise due to variables, so he cannot be shaking about it now. He took out his shield and attacked the monsters without fear. The system proclaimed that he got an unshakable mind as a result. With ease and a smile on his face, he easily killed all the stupid monsters before him. After finding the sanctuary, he sure knows that monsters cannot exist in the shop and this fountain of life. So this is like a safe zone inside of the labyrinth. After he drank the water from it, all the fatigue and pain dissipated, making him in the best condition again. The next day, he checked the community and found a lot of new posts from people. Something about being afraid to enter the labyrinth, or finding a comrade. As expected, most of the articles are written by solo players, since players in other modes can meet each other. He smiled when seeing Taeyeon's name again. Never thought that she was the strongest player who was always confident. Would be so confused by minor things like this. Well, maybe the truth is, she could have been just a coward who hid her true self until the very end. It's been a day since the labyrinth opened, so most likely people would enter the first floor raid in 1 month. In conclusion, there should still be many people alive at this moment. Since solo mode has a reward system that is proportional to the difficulty level, despite missing out on numerous rewards by defeating bosses through unfair methods, Taeyeon was still hailed as the strongest player. He then posted something in the community and wondered how things would unfold if people got reliable information and guidance. Maybe there would be many more Taeyeons that could survive in solo mode. He took out something from his storage pocket, a big rat's meat. He wonders if he really can eat it. Well, considering the description of the meat, there should be no problem. But after he ate the meat, the system explained that he had food poisoning. It's an abnormal condition. He remembers he got it in easy mode and almost died after 2 days of losing his physical strength. But it's hard to get food from the solo mode labyrinth. Eventually, he has no choice but to eat the creature in the labyrinth. Luckily, the fountain of life is here, so he can neutralize all the food poisoning in one go. As he kept eating to get full, in the end he developed a resistance due to countless challenges and got a passive skill. Bingo! Everything will be different from this disease resistance. If he keeps increasing his proficiency, he can actually become immune to food poisoning. This time, he entered the water and planned to get another skill. Teason sank his body and held his breath until he almost died, making the system announce his new skill called apnea. A special skill that will let him hold his breath for a long time. It will increase the amount of respiration and provide significant assistance in areas where the air is toxic. But thanks to being submerged in water until near death, he got a line of the death skill at the same time. But he's a bit shocked to see his proficiency is at 54% already. The proficiency is similar to like he has in the future. Does this mean the skills are inherited? Is the power imprinted on the mind rather than the body? However, other skills like cool-blooded or insight only have 1% proficiency. Whatever, incomprehensible things happen in the labyrinth. He won't be able to stand it if he keeps thinking about every detail. Right now, there are more skills left for him to build, so he cannot stop there. In another place, a guy named Kang Jung-hyuk mumbled that Teason's post was crazy. Teason told that this was a high risk with a high return, but he didn't think he could do it all. How can he supposedly drown himself in the water until almost dead? People commented saying Teason is the only one who can do that. Back to Teason, he activated non-breathing, planning to create a combination skill. If a certain skill meets a certain condition, he can hone the evolution of a new skill. In the non-breathing condition, it's only to a certain extent people can hold their breath while doing things. So he performed his swordsmanship skill and succeeded in activating a skill called a one-breath attack. Well, it is quite nice. The new skill helps him to swift and change attack in the middle of combat. Now, after all the preparation, he is ready to get the main skills. The main skill is usually a skill with a value higher than 10 skills combined into one. For example, it can multiply power or nullify the attack, to the point of the ability to stop time using the time pause. Just by having one main skill, people can exude power that dominates players at the same level. Due to its powerful capabilities, the conditions and requirements to possess are also picky. However, it is possible to create a main skill on the first floor. When the big rat aims at him, he deliberately lets the monster bite him until he's almost dead again. That time, he blocked the monsters using the shield, making a distance. He blocked the attack so many times, playing with his life near the line. This is all just to get the skill named Holding On. With this skill, he can negate lethal damage once and remove all damage for a period of time. In this labyrinth, there are specific ways to acquire skills, and it's very simple. People can earn it from someone or earn it by completing a task that others fail to finish. And the last, by doing an action that mimics the effect of the skill. Like he got a non-breathing skill by holding breath and using the sword to get the non-breathing attack skill. Therefore, if he wants to acquire a holding on skill that eliminates deathly attacks, it is simple. He just needs to continuously block deathly attacks. As he wanted, he successfully acquired Holding On, and feeling victorious by fear, that shouldn't be an excuse if he wants to get a skill that will always save his life. This place is a labyrinth. If he doesn't risk his life, he's not gaining anything. When Tison was resting, someone came to the sanctuary and greeted him. Tison became very shocked. No monster can enter the fountain of life, so this guy must be an NPC. The man stroked his beard and asked if Tison was an adventurer. He recalled that adventurers were people who ventured into the labyrinth for the sole purpose of conquering the deepest floor. Tison remembers Taeyeon told him about a weird old man who applauded him as a knight that served a god or something. What is this guy about? He needs to remember quickly. Haven't had time to remember anything yet. The man pointed his fist at Tison with a smile and told him to try blocking the attack. The system immediately warns Tison that his line of death skill has been triggered, so he recklessly dispels the attack with his shield. The man keeps attacking him until the moment Tison thinks he cannot avoid the stunning attack because the gap in their power is too big. After a big blow, he smiled as if he was happy to see the effect of the blow. He thought his attack would deal 100,000 damage, but it only dealt 30,000 damage. So, this is the end of the first chapter. If you want to see another content like this, please like and subscribe, guys, to support me. And comment too. Bye. See you next time.